But we're going to try and we'll give you another 5-10 minutes. Get those orders in for the D'Lo Brown autograph photos. It is we're talking the holiday season. I do have a Santa Claus shirt on that you can't see. For the great interviews that are going to be airing once we get closer to the official kickoff of the Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive, usually around mid-November. So we have a lot of fun, a lot of great guests coming your way, in addition to D'Lo, our old buddy, Kevin Sullivan, who I've known since 1994.
Wow.
When I was a 10th grader in high school. You talk about luck. We mentioned Tony Rumble a little bit. I don't know how well you got to know Tony, but very wise man. He was very friendly with Kevin, and during the Monday Night Wars, he was able to access Kevin when Kevin was booking Nitro. Then as things started to slow down on the WCW end and pick up on the WWF end, when Cornette was in the office and Cornette wanted to do wrestling-related things that had nothing to do with sports entertainment, he had Cornette coming in. So here I am, this high school kid, and I'm getting to listen to what he's that. And that's why I think, even though I am, almost 41, I feel like I've been around a lot longer than, it's been a long time. I was 13 when I broke in, but I feel like I've absorbed it the right way. You know what I mean?
And it's good to have good teachers like, guys like Percy or Kevin Sullivan or Tony Rumble who knew the business and appreciated the business, and then were willing to pass on those the secrets of the business to give them to you. And that's the thing is, I say, if you can't learn from people like that, then that's a you problem.
I'm like, the three I consider the mentors to me: Tony Rumble. I worked with Ed Cohen when he was in WWF from 2000 to 2001. A lot of fans may not recognize his name, even though he and Howard Finkel were the first two people hired by Vince and Linda McMahon.
Yes.
When they took over the company in 1982, he battled cancer 4 times, but fought through it the best he could. When WWF was at its hottest, and they were doing sometimes even D-Towns, he was running 4 live events a night all over the country. That was a man that, again, if you couldn't learn from him, I just remember every conversation was always, Danny, I better not read this on the internet. So I think people like, we mentioned Viking Raider Ivar, he always called me the king of kayfabe, because I wouldn't tell people things, because I had that etched in my brain from Ed. Don't tell anyone anything they need to know until they need to know.
Until they need to know it.
It was etched in my brain when I was a very young kid. And then after the whole WCW buyout, the ECW buyout, they didn't need people that weren't working out of the office like me. We started our own organization. And that because through my time in WWF, I got to know my third mentor. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, they're all gone. And that pulls on the strings of my heart.
That's
Tony would only be in his early 60s. I think Ed might be in his mid 60s. Percy, maybe the mid 60s or so. But it doesn't matter the age. You miss the person.
Yeah, no, I
care. Had so much value to your life. I wouldn't be able. We wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for some combination of those people. They all taught me great things in different ways. As a teenage kid in high school, Tony Rumble opened a platform to me to be able to join wrestling. Then when I was a 20-year-old kid, and I had, after Tony passed, thought about starting my own thing, just by a chance encounter, met Ed. And the funny thing was, I knew the term hard camera, and he was fascinated by how do you know that? What a hard camera is. And I explained my whole background with Tony, and he said, hold on the phone, I'm an ass man. They have the theme song where they put you on hold. And he brought on another woman who was a local promoter, Liz Flynn. I don't know if you remember.
Yes. Yes.
So the three of us talked for about an hour, and they wanted to try and, involve me in the process, groom me, so to speak, not that the 2021 internet way. And then, that unfortunately ran its course because of everything that went on with the dynamics of all those buyouts, plus the XFL at the same time. That was a great tour. 2001 was a crazy year.
That was a whole crazy year.
And then that guy that's on that picture, Paul Bearer, I mean, especially after his wife passed, we used to talk just about every day. And again, you talk about a vault of knowledge. Worked for so many of the different territories, and had the run with probably, you might, if you want to have a Vegas bet or a Vegas battle, over who was the greater attraction, Undertaker or Andre. One of the two of them was. Who would you say, Andre or Undertaker? As far as an attraction goes. Well, obviously the work, I think we know the answer. But
it's hard because Undertaker did it for so long, like his body of work spans 30 years. So if you take that into account, just by the sheer number of towns he drew, that would make him the biggest attraction. But if you look at Andre, everywhere he went, he would sell out. Now it was for a shorter window, but still everywhere he went, it was Andre. That's a hard one. I'll go with Taker just because I lived it.
Yep. Him and Paul Bearer and I, Percy as I call him, we actually got into an argument at the TGI Fridays one year downstairs with Austin kind of mediating. Because him and Percy were like, he looked kind of at Percy as the way I did from World Class and USWA and things like that. I think he was just fascinated by the different conversations. And as far as my enjoyment, I'll always go with Undertaker. Plus, I was funded for my little window with that going. But Andre, it's just like you said, every promotion that would book him for those 2 or 3 weeks, it would like
people would bring Andre into Papa territory.
Yeah.
And when I say Papa territory, it's if a territory is struggling drawing fans, they would bring Andre in to increase attendance. And
it always worked.
It worked because he'd come in for 2 or 3 weeks, he'd do his thing, and he'd move on to the next territory. He would just do that all around the country, until he settled with Vince. But that's what he did.
Until they
all
went
around
national,
the world.
right? All right, wrestling fans, it's 7:45 right now. We'll give you 5 minutes. We have to start our interviews. As usual, our process has gone awry. I think the day that we get it right is probably the day I walk outside and get hit by a bus. But that's a different story for a different time. But you know what? We're having fun. We're having great wrestling conversations with a great guy. I hope we can have him out to Boston as we have some of our retro-themed reunion shows. I think when we do the Attitude Era one, who would be better to have than D-Lo? He lived the Attitude Era.
I got to come to Boston because Kowloon's closing. I can't go there. I can't not.
That's right. I mean, and now you have a reason even more so. Good friend Andy. I think Andy might even need a picture.
Oh, he's going to get one.
Is Andy going to get a picture?
He's going to get.
I'm sure he's working and not watching, but he deserves a picture. He's been a great friend again to me since the mid-'90s. Love him. We haven't had a true fan, so we're going to give you about 5 minutes. Then we have to start these interviews. We had planned on ending this at 7:30. But the hotel, oh dear, mamma mia. We have 2 different rooms here. Neither one of them worked all that well. But we got great staff. What would I do without my staff? What do you think of these guys?
Well, I think great. I mean, I think they're good guys. And
you trust them, though?
I'll tell after I see what they order for food.
All right.
I'll know at that point.
You were giving them some good suggestions.
But I'll know what they order. I'll get a feel there. I'll go, okay.
I hate to say it, and I hope Andy isn't even watching at this moment. But next to Kowloon, there was a pretty good Korean barbecue place.
Really?
And we went with Brian Pillman Jr. and a couple of the indie guys after one of the last events we had before Corona. And it was delicious. And then it closed down because of Corona.
Oh, well.
So Kowloon, the Asian food Monday Night War, I guess.
They won the war.
That may not know you, you're pretty close to Las Vegas nowadays. How do you live it up here?
It's a different way of life. I mean, it's obviously desert living, so it's hot the majority of the time.
Wait till the fans see me.
Well, yeah, you burn like a lobster.
They're going to think I'm a Boston lobster.
But it's a nice city to live in. I live out in the suburbs, and when you're out there, I don't even realize the strip is here. If I put you in my front yard, you'd be in any town in USA, and you wouldn't have a clue that you're in Las Vegas. So. I enjoy living out here. Everything is close by. I live, 8 minutes from the airport. So when I got to fly out,
wow. That's
easy.
Really nice.
Yeah, it's easy in and out.
It's easy access to that airport. Even from the strip, it's not that bad.
No, I can take you 15 different ways to get to the airport right now. Most cities might be one way in, one way out. I can take you 15 different ways to get you to the airport right now.
This is and you probably have experienced airports far more than I have, but from that little time I did do stuff with WWF, I think this is one of the better airports for access in and out of in the country.
Well,
I think it's nice and smooth.
They're built to move as many people through as possible because they want to keep people coming in and flowing. And If it's a hassle to get in the airport or out of the airport, that makes the city look bad.
Yeah.
So the city is built to churn as many people out and get as many people in as smoothly as possible. So it's a pretty good airport.
What I've always found funny is you get off the plane and there's slot machines everywhere and there's these big television ads for all these great shows. Then when you go home, you wouldn't even think it's the same airport. When you go to check in to come back, it's like, okay, you know,
they've got all your money at that point.
It's hysterical to me.
They've got all your money at that point. They don't want to take any more.
Yeah.
So they're just like,
maybe play a couple of bucks on the slot machine.
Yeah, but go, yeah. And if you hit, you hit. But if not, go. We're good.
All right, wrestling fans, I'm going to hit refresh 1 or 2 more times. If you can't get your order in, I can't promise you anything, but D'Lo's going to sign the pictures we have, and we're going to include them in the grab bags that we do once we get closer to the kayfabe terms. Update Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's house this holiday season and every holiday season.
I love it.
It's one of my favorite things to do, but I tell you this, I get so stressed once it gets close. I say, Percy, I love you, but I'm never doing it again. And then every year, we do it again.
Then you do it.
All right, wrestling fans, we're going to start these interviews. If you do, you know what? We'll check the PayPal again before D'Lo leaves tonight. We don't want to miss anybody because we hate to do that, but we do have to get the interview process going. I just want to send it. Slick Rick B, I appreciate your help so much, buddy. Phil, I appreciate you being one of the moderators, too. Captain Lou is in the background, don't worry. As well as our good friend Alex Fan. He's going to be opening a website, OnlyFans, but that's a different story for a different time. You know, something happened at room 211 at the MGM.
I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to be incriminated in anything.
It looked like the Bellagio fountain's going on.
No, look, I'm staying on the outskirts of this one. I don't want to go anywhere near that.
All right, as we wrap up our live program, D'Lo, anything you want to push on social media, anything you want to promote for what's turning into now a much more exciting, improved Impact Wrestling product?
Just fans, tune in Impact Wrestling on Access TV. Thursday night, 8 o'clock, you get to see myself and Matt Stryker call the action. And I think we've got some really, really good talent and good and compelling storylines and great action. So give us a shout, give us a follow, give us a look. If you slept in Impact Wrestling or don't know how it's changed, give us an episode or two and see what you think. And if you want to hit me up on Twitter, at DLoBrown75, the only verified D'Lo, I talk Impact Wrestling, wrestling in general. I'll show you some food that I make. I'll talk Chicago Bears football and Liverpool soccer. So those are my hobbies.
I think you made a great point about Impact, where it moves so many TV channels over such a short period of time. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes fans just kind of, where life is just so active nowadays, especially with social media and cell phones and those types of things, it's easy to lose track of just about any show. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Thursday is the one night of the week that doesn't have a WWE program shoved down your throat, or now AEW, now that they're trying to have a couple of weeknight shows. But Thursday night, that's pretty much in
that's our night. That's our night.
Give them a chance.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube, Access TV, we're out there. Just come find us, and you'll be disappointed. Well,
you have Christian Cage involved now from Impact Wrestling, who I believe he's the Impact Wrestling champion.
He's our current world champion right now. You got guys you'll know. I mean, Matt Cardona from WWE is there.
The former Zack Ryder.
Guys like Moose, who's 6'8" god, former NFL offensive lineman who looks like he's chiseled out of granite. Eddie Edwards, along with some great knockouts like Deonna Purrazzo and Sue Young. The list goes on and on and on of the talent we have. It's just tune in, you won't be disappointed.
And in case any of our friends may have missed the conversation we had, I did put over Eddie Edwards, Daddy OTJP, and Rich Swann.
Yes.
In case the camera went out, because it did go out for a while, I don't want them to think I forgot about them.
No, you did not.
All right,
we talked about it. Yes.
All right, wrestling fans, we had a ton of fun. Don't forget, tomorrow on Tuesday, We may be having a live episode. It's really not the way I want to present it to you as far as promoting it, but it's the way it's kind of been left in my lap. Wednesday afternoon, we're going to have one of the evilest minds in professional wrestling with us, Kevin Sullivan, a man I've known since 1994. And then on Thursday, baby, I don't know how much of this group we can see from here, but they're lining all that. The whole train is lining up.
That thing is way over to California right now.
And I tell you, that's a pretty long lobby we have. A hallway, I should say. I know Hilda gets a little worked up when she's cleaning the rooms, but he could have quite the whole train down that hallway.
It would shock the world.
And you know what? Maybe on a bad day, even a little voodoo.
Don't say that too loud.
Not too loud. All right, for my partner in crime, D'Lo Brown, you guys are going to love the content we're going to produce that you're going to be able to see as we get closer to the holiday season. If you're one of our great Patreon fans, much like the New Jack footage we had, you're going to get to see it early because you guys are the heart and soul in everything we do. I'm going to put the link up now if you want to see and hear what's going on with D'Lo much earlier than the holiday season. This is the place to be. But again, we're running so late. I thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm going to hit the PayPal one more time to refresh. Otherwise, D'Lo's going to sign up all these beautiful pictures, and hopefully we can turn this into a regular thing. For all we know, the cauliflower could be back under its regular routine and be back in April. So we could have you back again real soon, for all we know.
It would be nice if everybody can get back to the work.
In all aspects of life.
In all aspects of life. So, yes.
All right, fans. For D'Lo Brown, I'm Dan Marty. I appreciate having this gentleman interrupt his busy schedule to be with us. Thank you for being with us. We will see you. Don't forget, what is tonight? What day is it?
Today's Monday.
All right, so Oscar is at you remember Oscar from Men on a Mission.
Yes, I do.
His talk show has been interrupted this week, not just because he's in Vegas, but he's made a new rap album, and he's on the 40-yard line at the Raiders game.
Well, there you go.
There you go. But
he's right down the street at Legion Stadium.
We will be back with our brand new talk show series that replace old Tony Atlas. I don't know if you heard about old Tony Atlas. Now, every night at 10 p.m. after NXT, we have Wrestling Insiders Extreme. And the first 6 episodes, I guess both good and bad, are with New Jack. We were able to take 6 episodes with him 6 days before he passed. And if you ever saw New Jack has his reputation, but I want to talk about that on the shows we're going to do. But if you get to know the man behind what he did in the ring, there was a good heart and there were a lot of laughs. And I tell you this, the Saturday we had him in Boston, we had so many laughs. And then at Kowloon that night, we had such a nice talk about how he met his wife, Jennifer.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know the backstory to that, but he was kind of stuck in a hospital in Atlantic City, and all of his friends up north, no one really seemed like they cared. And Jennifer reached out to him from North Carolina, and they became friends on social media, and she came up to see him from North Carolina, and it was just magic. And he married him, and moved in with their kids. And I said, Jack, I could ask you, brother. I said, how do the kids, what do they think of you? From what they maybe have seen on YouTube. And he said, man, they look at me like I'm a big toy. All right, fans, for D'Lo Brown, I'm Dan Marty. We're going to start producing some great content for you. We'll see you tomorrow night at 10 p.m. with New Jack. Until then, you and yours, be well, be healthy. Good night from, not Boston, good night from Las Vegas. Boop. Boop. What?